Quiet on the set, please. Quiet on the set. Go ahead.
Who has jurisdiction in medical decisions regarding minors? Our group came to the claim that medical decisions for minors should be jointly made by doctors, parents, and the children themselves in order to achieve the most effective results, with the final say in treatment going to the doctor.
34 states in the U.S. have laws granting minors access to routine medical care. In Minnesota, anyone under the age of 18 has the ability to give valid consent to any healthcare treatment that has to do with mental or reproductive health. This means that minors can give consent to treatment for things like STDs or pregnancies without parents' approval. They can also give valid consent to things like hepatitis B vaccinations or blood donations, provided that they are over 17. There is also legislation in place that declares that independent minors can give consent in all cases. So if you live separately from your parents, you can undergo any treatment you like, as long as you can pay for it financially. But unless you are an emancipated minor, parents get to make medical decisions for you. There's a vast amount of legislation that promotes this. Religious objections are protected by the First Amendment. This is exemplified in the Delaware Newmark versus Williams case, where when a young boy was diagnosed with Burkitt's lymphoma, he had a 40% chance of survival with lymphoma, but his parents deferred the treatment and instead opted for treatment with their church. The state sued for custody but lost the battle. Because freedom of religion is so well established, legal cases outside of religious jurisdiction are easier to win for states seeking custody of a minor. The state may take custody of a child if they determine that the parent's action is endangering the child's life or if treatment is needed immediately. If these conditions are met and multiple doctors are in agreement, the state can take over custody of the child. If the state determines that parents are not doing what is best for the child, the parents can lose custody of the child or end up being sued for medical neglect, which carries fines and even jail time. All these statutes and bylaws are indicators of how complex the issue is and why it's so hard to come up with a single solution for this problem.
Medical ethics can be a very tricky subject, and it only gets more complicated when the rights of minors are involved. In order to help navigate ethical disputes in medicine, scientists have looked back on the Hippocratic Oath, one of the earliest medical documents that, according to the National Library of Medicine, dates back to 400 BC. While this document has been written and rewritten many times throughout history, the four main principles have remained. Those four principles are autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. And according to Stanford Medical School, all four of these principles must be respected for medical practice to be considered ethical. The most important of these principles when deciding who has the jurisdiction over a minor's health is autonomy. Autonomy is defined as the right to self-govern, and in most medical cases, minors do not have this right, as they are claimed not to have the mental capacity to make decisions for themselves. So, if not the children themselves, then who should get the right over the child's treatment? The law says the parents. The problem with this is that the law assumes that the parent understands the risks and benefits of a procedure well enough to make a decision, when in reality, parents' decisions do not always line up with the best interests of a child. Because of this, we think it would be most effective for decisions to be made jointly between healthcare professionals, parents, and minors, with the final say going to the doctors. This is because while parents and minors are able to educate themselves and make informed decisions, physicians are recognized by the state as capable of making acceptable clinical judgment through tests they need to complete their license. No child should be deprived of their best chance to live because of the decision they did not make.
In many countries, we have seen a shift towards the expansion of the rights of minors regarding their health. Throughout history, minors have had little to no say because they have been viewed as immature and uninformed. Despite this, a clear change has begun. European countries have progressively become more generous in regards to giving rights to minors in consideration of their health. Minors have been given more rights in terms of both their mental and reproductive health. Trends similar to this have been seen in the US, although have not taken to the same extent in legislature. Due to this cultural shift, it is likely that minors will receive more rights regarding their health in the future. While legislation is determined almost entirely by 18 and older, it is important to take into consideration the opinions of minors and their beliefs on their rights in terms of their health. As part of my research, I conducted a survey in my school to get a better understanding of how minors believe they should play a role in their own health. Within a week, I received 154 responses to the survey ranging from 9th to 12th graders, displaying a wide variety of beliefs on the topic. In my first question, I asked, when should a minor have the ability to override the parents' decisions in the interest of their own health? As shown here, 11.9% said in no cases, while 31% said in all cases, and 33.8% said in only life or death situations. In my second question, I asked, what specific cases should the minors have the right to choose treatments over their parents' decisions? The three most popular treatments were depression and anxiety medication, ADHD medication, and COVID-19 vaccines. This is significant because it shows there is not only a cultural shift among adults, but there is also a clear consensus among minors that they believe they should have a say in some, if not all, of their health matters.
It is established minors should get a fair say in their treatment, but it is still on the part of the parent to consent to the procedures in full trust of the doctor they are appointing to their child. The first question to explore is, who is profiting from this problem? Simply put, the answer is both doctors and patients. According to the AMA, in 2016, an average of 52.5% of a physician's compensation came from salary, 31.8% from personal productivity, and the rest from elsewhere. This form of commission pairs well with the Minnesota Statute 144.345, which reads in layman's terms, doctors have the jurisdiction in deciding whether or not the parent or guardian representing the child is trustworthy to give the word of the child. Physicians with these are given a lot of power and have the ability to, yet immorally, undergo operations or procedures that are unnecessary, exploiting the patients for money. Yet the problem still stands with doctors going against parents' wishes and have even had cases where they have been sued as a result. One case to look at is Justina Pelletier and her family with their court dispute against Children's Hospital. This girl was only 14 when she was locked into a psychiatric unit in Boston Children's Hospital. The problem started when Justina was checked into Children's over a mitochondrial disease, one affecting her energy levels, though the doctors there determined the problems were more psychiatric. The parents and Justina are now suing the hospital and those involved for violating their civil rights. The parents also claim negligence by the doctors for ignoring their wishes, as well as the doctors of a former hospital. This is certainly something to look out for as a parent, as well as a doctor with the possibility of being sued for malpractice. Although the responsibility is still that of the parents for finding the right, trustworthy doctor for their child.
Despite these rare occurrences of an immoral doctor, we as a group still believe that doctors having the final say provides the child with the best chance of getting the right treatment they need, and therefore believe that this is the best solution to the problem.
All right, thank you. Will, give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of learning about Nathan's findings.
Well, Nathan's findings are really interesting because he pulled people from the minors' age groups, so we kind of got to see what the minors really think about the issue, which is really what it's all about.
Okay, thank you. Dom, in the future, what change would you make to your group norms, and how would you expect that to improve the team presentation?
So I think it's really important to establish the claim, and for us it sort of moved around a lot, which was unhelpful to us. So if I could change something, it would be we establish a claim early so all of our individual points would work together just a little bit better.
Okay, thank you. Sam, what's an example of a compelling argument from one of your peers' individual reports you decided to exclude from the team presentation, and why did you decide to exclude it?
Well, one example is from Will. There have been examples of doctors possibly overturning the parents' decisions and then being wrong, which is like, it helps my argument, but it doesn't help our overall claim, which is that doctors should get more jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you. Nathan, what was the strongest counter-argument to your conclusion your team identified, and why was it the strongest counter-argument?
I think, especially explained in Sam's part, I think the counter argument is that a lot of times parents, because they know the child, they also know what's best for the child. And I think that was something we had to definitely consider when making our claim.
Okay, thank you. All right, another round of applause.